Let's turn our attention now to the aviation industry, where domestic airlines in Nigeria may now compensate passengers for incessant delays and cancellations of flights. Yes, you heard me right. That's according to Aviation Minister Festus Keyamo while speaking on flight disruption challenges during a meeting with officials of airline operators of Nigeria in Abuja. That was last week. According to an NCA report, we're following very closely here. Over half of the domestic flights in Nigeria between January and March were delayed as travelers groan under incessant flight delays in the country's airports. Let's talk about airline operation in Nigeria and the matters arising. Joining me live from our Abuja studio is the MD CEO, United Nigeria Airline and spokesman Airline Operators of Nigeria, Professor Obiora Okonkwo. Thank you for joining us on the program this evening. Prof, if you can hear me, let's begin with how operators are reacting to the implementation of the provision of Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority Act that mandates airlines to compensate passengers for delays and cancellations of flight schedules caused by the airlines.
Well, I don't think there is any reaction to that. We are, all the operators in Nigeria are complying fully with the requirements and regulations stipulated by NCA. It might also interest you to know that NCA do not have a personal regulation that is peculiar to Nigeria or unique to NCA in Nigeria. It is IACAO, it's an IACAO regulation, and you must have to comply with it to be able to meet the requirements to fly. So passengers who are regular flyers would have told you that they do get compensation from the operators. There are different ways of compensation that are allowed by the ICAO regulation. If you are delayed more than 3 hours, there's some compensation that you get. Some of them do get refreshments and all that. And then, depending on what the delay is all about, some of them do get extra tickets. We even go as far as putting them in the hotel with the mega amount of money they pay. But the big question is here, what are the issues that cause compensation? In our ICAO standard, in our ICAO regulation, there could be 90 items that could be reason for delay, for flight delay. And out of these 90 items, only 2 or 3 has to do with the operator. So when you say delay at the airport, 96 to 97% of the cases, it has nothing to do with the operator. If you talk about those things, do you know a typical operator might take off from Lagos on a scheduled flight, everything is okay. He had to land in Abuja as targeted, and there may be VIP movement. We are hovering all over for 30, 40 minutes. You can't land because there is VIP movement. And when there is VIP movement and all the aircrafts are hovering, there is already a crowded airspace. By the time they start landing and then checking in and all that, you may have been losing about 2-3 hours. That's on a journey to Lagos. And that aircraft is supposed to stop in Lagos and take off to another destination. People in that destination are waiting for the aircraft to arrive. Upon arrival, 3 hours, then it keeps on accumulating. And before you know it, it's getting to 5 o'clock. Maybe the last flight on that aircraft is going to an airport that has a sunset that must close by 6:30. You are ready to fly till midnight, but you can't go to that airport because you can't go there and land in darkness. Nobody will be there to receive you. Then that leads to cancellation. So many things. What would you do when you are taking off from Benin, for instance, to Lagos, to get to Lagos and pick up passengers from Lagos to Abuja, and you have an airstrike? Airstrike is happening because some people's duty to drive away these birds in the air, they are not being done. Then if you have an airstrike, that engine is gone, depending on the vitality of that airstrike. Okay, you can move. So for you to move those passengers, you have to
delayed,
disrupt
if you can
another
hear me.
aircraft to fly to Benin.
Yes.
So I can hear you.
Yes, I just wanted to, butt in quickly to highlight the importance of what you have said and the fact that there are long reasons why, passengers might be experiencing delay or cancellation of flights, which might not be necessarily the fault of operation. But we're looking forward to how this can be fixed in the coming days, particularly with the development from the Minister of Aviation. Well, you were quoted to have said that the current minister shouldn't interfere with regulations, and that there was a situation in the past where regulatory employees were given employment letters from the Federal Minister of Aviation. I wanted you to clarify that, and what's the AON's expectation in this regard?
Oh yes, that's a good one, because even when ministers say that, we were all in the office, in the conference room. We had about 4 hours good time with the minister, and we're happy with every minute of it. We saw somebody whose business is our business, whose agenda is our agenda, whose mission is our vision. So we don't have any problem with that. It was just the media trying to sensationalize his statement about compensation, because it's not a big deal. Compensation do exist, but he also understood that there are a whole lot of infrastructures that have to be put in place for us to be able to operate seamlessly. Let's please understand that aircraft is meant to fly. Any airline operator, the aircraft is on ground, is losing money. If you're out of schedule, we lose more than the passenger. So it's never our intention. But whenever other thing happens, the safety standard is very high in Nigeria. If you signal any single thing in the aircraft, you have to wait to clear that fault. It might not be that there is a problem, but you don't have to take a chance. That's why in the last 10 years, thereabout, you haven't heard of aircraft falling out of the sky, because the operators are very serious about it. So it should be for safety reason. And when it's for safety reason, you should understand that, because it happens in every part of the world. In every part of the world, they must clear it. So safety is very important. Getting to a destination fine is good. So you should probably know we are combining both of that. So we are very happy with what's going on. And then, yes, I made that comment. I said that to the minister directly, and I also spoke to the press about it. You see, NCA should be an independent body. NCA, there is nothing peculiar to Nigerian NCA. NCA operations and guidelines are getting its clue from ICAO. I've always said that aviation is worldwide. It's international. There's no Nigerian aviation. If you have to play aviation role the way it has to be done, you have to sign up to ICAO, you have to sign up to IATA, and once you stop doing that, then they will write you off. You can have what you want, the mess you want to do internally inside Nigeria, but you can't think of taking off Nigeria and landing anywhere, because they won't give you any landing permit. And then, if you look at it the way it is, we have had in the past, where everything happening in some of these agencies, including the NCA, were directed from Ministry of Aviation. Employment letters of some of them seated down in certain critical positions were given from Ministry of Aviation. That's not acceptable. They were sent there to serve a purpose. There are procedures and processes to get them. So we felt that for the minister to succeed and to keep his promise of dealing with all stakeholders in the industry, he must allow the independence of the agencies and do their policy matters from the minister's office. So he gave us that assurance, and we know him for a man who really wants to get things done the right way. So we're happy about that development. It's a mistake he must not make.
Let's talk
because
about...
if they are receiving intervention from government and it's overbearing, ICAO will intervene. And they will really, when they do intervene, is going to affect the operators from Nigeria. And we don't want that to happen.
Prof, forex scarcity, we understand, is a major challenge for your operation, and you've been talking about the need for a special window to access foreign exchange from CBN by domestic airlines. The minister last week, we hear, assured the ministry will liaise with CBN in this regard and also help operators get FX at a single-digit interest rate, while also promising to provide a dedicated support line for operators to have some unfettered access to foreign exchange. I was just thinking if there's an update on that in that regard, and if government is matching words with action.
Well, in the last meeting with the minister, we presented that as a aviation fuel issue as one of the critical points, because all over the world, the standard calculation is that your aviation cost to your expenses should not be more than 30%. But right now, we are hitting double that. It's eating a whole lot into our operational costs, especially when you're operating in a country. You wake up and the fuel price differ today, the currency changes tomorrow. You can't just be changing your prices every day. So when you see us flying at the rate you are flying today or at the rate you might fly tomorrow, we are still absorbing the cost. If you fly any 1 hour flight or less than 1 hour flight from any airport to any airport and pay less than 150,000 naira, take it from me that we are subsidizing that very stuff, but we have to remain like that because we know the importance of aviation as a catalyst. But to us, nobody can convince otherwise that that the cost of aviation fuel now is 1,000 and above. You remember the first time we shouted out last year, we were afraid that it was going from 199 naira to $300 naira, I mean. And then we saw it going to 500. That was the first time I came to this year's studio. We talked about it. we shouted. There were quick interventions, but they helped, not in a big way. But today we see it going to 1,000 naira. It's really a very bad situation. We still believe that there are works of invisible hands in the chain of supply. NNPC remains the monopoly importer of this aviation fuel as of today through their sister company, Duke Oil. They import 80 to 90% of aviation fuel into Nigeria because to import it, you need a huge amount of foreign exchange. There's a talk about us importing the airline operators. We haven't even gotten $100,000, $1 million to run our minimum spare parts and all that easily. Took less of going into hundreds of millions of dollars to import a 30,000 minimum ton capacity of aviation fuel. It's a tough one. But we're saying we don't want subsidies. Government at whatever rate you are importing it through NNPC. And whatever margin NPC is getting, there are major fuel distributors. We can nominate these fuel distributors. Some of them have the chain and the network up to the pump of the aircraft. Let them put their margin. We don't mind. But let's buy at that rate. But that's not what you get. What you get is that these major operators may not have these things. There are chains and gatekeepers and cabals in between. And these cabals are not from my village. They are not my uncles and nephews. They are people who have access to get permission, to get authority to trade on those products. And when they are those people, then you know where they're coming from. We don't need this. We say the same thing in the case of Forex. You have each time CBN window of Forex for the export and import window. You have the rate. The rate is still different from the rate And you don't get Naira at that rate. You don't get dollar at that rate in your conversion to Naira. Then you still have a wide gap margin in the market. Who is causing all those? But the whole essence of this exercise is to bring Naira to be in one rate with the dollar. So we close one window, close the other window, and another window opens.
I hear you, Prof.
It's not my duty to do that. It's not our duty to do that. Government
we
has
have
all
just
it takes to
about,
do that if they are sincere and they're
4 or 5 more
committed.
minutes.
And at the end of the day, when these things are so high, it becomes a huge cost to the final users of those services and products. In this case, our air travelers. We sympathize with them, but they should know that for us to continue to be giving them service that they can rely on in terms of safety and other things, we need to be viable financially, because financial integrity of any airline is a core part of safety regulation.
All right. Prof, we have just about 4 more minutes. I was hoping I could get some reaction on other issues, but it seems we'll have to return to this conversation subsequently. But quickly, let's talk about the recently amended NCA regulations that now requires domestic airlines to raise the minimum aircraft to 6 before January 2025. How much of a challenge is that for operators?
Well, for United Nigeria Airlines, we are not worried about that. We are above that category, just like many operators in Nigeria. But we are concerned about that because I think that for NCA to come up with that, that's stepping out of their core duties. By the time you start determining how many aircrafts an operator is going to owe before coming into the operation, you are at the same time designing the business model of that operator. It is absolutely unnecessary. In their own understanding, they are thinking that that could be one solution to flight delays and all that. That's far from it. NCA should know better that apart from all those other issues I've mentioned, our airport infrastructure is very poor. Let them go solve it with the necessary agencies, and you see everything flying on schedule. Let them remove the cap of the night of the sunset,
NCA says the new
and you see the spread. Hello.
Yes, NCA says the new requirement will indeed help airlines with a strong financial footing. You don't agree? NCA says this new requirement will help airlines with a stronger financial footing. And that's
absolutely wrong.
Merger in this regard.
It's absolutely wrong because you see, let me tell you what they do not know. The unfortunate thing some people look at when they think of airline is that they look at Emirates, they look at Ryanair, they look at airlines that have hundreds of aircrafts. But they do forget that Emirates started with only 2 aircraft. Only 2. Only 2 aircrafts Emirates started. But because of the right policy, because of the right support, they have been able to grow that industry. You had Ryanair. Ryanair started with 2 aircraft. It's so celebrated in the world as a major airline with unique small fare charges. They started with only aircraft. An operator could have a business model to be servicing passengers from Asaba to Enugu. And it doesn't need more than 2 aircrafts to be able to do that. You just take the right aircraft to take your passengers from Asaba to Enugu. You might not be interested in who comes to Lagos or who comes to Abuja. If the person wants to go beyond that, then he joins another airline. And let me assure you that the number of aircraft you have do not guarantee your financial stability. Arik had multiple aircrafts. What's happening to Arik today? Okada before he closed had 36 aircraft. What happened to Okada today? I think in this case, NCA should please face their regulation, come out of that thing because it has nothing to do. The number of aircraft is not like putting cars in your garage. If you have 2 aircrafts, you plan the routes. And the number of aircrafts you have allows you to plan for number of staff to service it. So I can tell you that we have told them from AON they are absolutely wrong in that. We are not saying so because we cannot afford it. I can tell you that United Nigeria is outside that category. We are above that. APC is above that. Airborne Air is above that. Overland is above that. So we are not saying it because we need to downsize our aircraft. We rather will be increasing. We just received a new Airbus yesterday. We are receiving another one next month. We have 2 E190 coming in February, March. We have 10 aircrafts. That's not a problem. But the issue is that when you depart from your core duty of regulation and then start venturing into business model of anybody setting up, it's not proper. Right. It's not done anywhere. You should do things and take steps that help airlines to grow. We have seen airlines that started with 5, 6, grow to 10, and they come back. Some of the airlines today that are not flying, you know recently of the Asman. Asman has 7 aircraft. And out of those 7 aircrafts, they have aircraft that has capacity to take off from here and land in China without stop. But they're not flying because the aircrafts are due for service. They've sent them out. They have money to service these aircraft.
I hear you.
The money is in central bank. They can't
I'm afraid that's our time,
dollars.
Prof.
And where these aircrafts are parked, that they have charged them $3.5 million parking. How do you expect them to survive?
We have to go now. We'll see how all of these eventually play out. Some say the new regulations are to be implemented as we speak. Only about United Nigeria and 4 other airlines will be able to remain in operation, as most have less than 6 active Nigerian registered aircraft. But we'll continue this conversation subsequently. A big thank you, Professor, for talking to us and helping us understand the position of operators in Nigeria in this regard. MD, CEO, United Nigeria Airlines, and spokesman, Airline Operators of Nigeria, Professor Obiora Okonkwo, thank you so much for joining us on the program this evening.